system catch up. We're here live on Facebook, and we're continuing a conversation that we just had on the No Soundbites Allowed podcast on the Exceptional Conservative Network. It was a great show. We had a great conversation talking about a lot of issues. I'm here right now with our co-host, that is John the Intern, and we've been talking about, well, we covered a lot of subjects. Representative Anthony Medici, we were talking about,
marijuana,
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and concentration camps, detention centers, immigration reform. We were talking about what's been going on with Governor Cuomo and the bills that he's been trying to put through. And that kind of brought us up to now talking about, one, the fact that on Wednesday, we're going to be doing a live broadcast. It's a live stream that'll be on our YouTube channel, which some people may see this on. We're going to be doing it live on YouTube, listening to and covering the 2020 Democratic nominee debate that will be happening on Wednesday and probably on Thursday as well. Wednesday will be with Elizabeth Warren, Senator Cory Booker, Bill de Blasio, Mayor of New York, and Robert Beto O'Rourke, the fake Hispanic, and a couple of other people who really don't even matter.
Jim Ryan, I believe.
Yeah, who cares? No one knows who he is.
No, that's fair.
He's at 0.3%. Who cares?
No, absolutely.
I think Williamson's going to be in that debate too, right?
Like you said, who cares?
Exactly. No one cares. They're non-entities in the race. They'll get 3 minutes, 3 to 4, maybe 5 minutes to be able to speak, which would amount to like 2 answers saying yes, and that's it. They're gone. They're meaningless. And even de Blasio, who's at like 0.4%, really meaningless on a national level. No one cares. They're wasting time. The real thing is Elizabeth Warren is going to get a showcase to take up most of the time, answer almost every question. She will be a focal point, and she's going to be able to up her stature versus Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, who are the leaders and front runners in the Democratic national debate, because they're the most moderate. I mean, you can almost say that. It's not really accurate.
No.
But compared to the likes of, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Andrew Yang, yeah, they kind of are, because the others are out of their minds, which is why, Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders are leading. But I think, old white rich men are not going to be the DNC, Democratic Party headliners for the 2020 race. I stand by my October 2018 statement. It's going to be all women against the horrible, evil President Trump, because it's always horrible, evil President Trump. And they're the innocent women against him. So, that's what I think it's going to be. But we picked up the show directly. We just finished the main show, and now we're doing a supplement because we're talking about Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, what they came up with. And I think, where did we leave off?
I'm trying to remember. We got into a little bit on what we were going to talk about, which was the reparations. We talked about that a little bit, kind of teasing it for this live stream. We just talked about what was going on in New York State with the marijuana decriminalization as well. Okay. Those were our last 2 topics.
So, Warren, Senator Bernie Sanders has said that he said he wants to wipe out the student loan.
That's right. And that's what we also talked
about $1.6 trillion. And I'm sure, as we were saying in the other the show, students, millennials, are very excited about this.
Yeah. No, it's a good little title to say I'm wiping out all of student debt. It's a little slogan that says it all, yeah.
Well, it's fantastic, except for who's paying for the $1.6 trillion?
No, when you look into it, you're right. You have to start asking these questions. Who's going to pay for it? How far back is this going to go? How far back is the debt going to be wiped? He's not talking about that.
Does it go back to when I was in college 30 years ago? And is he wiping out that debt, which means I get a refund? Or does it happen today? Does it happen in a year? Who gets covered on that?
It's not answered.
Okay. How about this? Let me ask a really great question. Our nation desperately needs carpenters, electricians, machinists, plumbers desperately needs this. Within the next 7 years, we will not have enough people we already don't have enough people to cover the needs of this nation. You love the internet? Fantastic. You love electricity? Fantastic. I think we all like having lights at night. If you don't have electricians, you won't. And we don't have enough electricians. So places, as we get into the next 7 years, more and more places will have outages because we don't have enough electricians. And what about those guys? Because they're not necessarily going to college. These are hands-on jobs that you don't need a degree in English to be a plumber. You don't need a degree in liberal arts, aka progressive
Gender studies.
Progressive policy.
Yeah.
You don't need a progressive policy degree to go out and be a machinist. But we need these people. So let me ask you, what about those people? They're not getting anything.
No.
And so they're going to be taxed at $1.6 trillion. That's affecting every taxpayer out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's something like 75 million people are going to be costing more in taxes to them, and they get no benefit from it.
Right, and it's most of this college. You can find a job with most college degrees, but the problem is those people who are picking degrees that aren't useful or anything. This is a big thing I deal with on college campuses. I go, okay, well, they're so worried about, I'm going to find a job. I'm like, okay, what's your degree? Gender studies.
Well, yeah, because that's so relevant to doing what?
Anything. Anthropology, all these kind of things that you go, what are you going to do with it?
Well, yeah, because that just tells me you can do what really well? Gender studies. What do you do with gender studies?
You can't do anything with it.
It's not like an English degree, which I know, okay, well, then you should be able to at least write a sentence. You can write a report. Okay, that seems logical from an English degree, right?
Sure.
Okay, I can get that. But, it's like the old, back in my day, it's like doing an art history major. Okay, and then what? Mm-hmm. You really know a lot about the Mona Lisa. Fantastic. Can you sell something? Can you build something? What do you do with art history? And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to know about, but it's not a career direction unless you're going to be a teacher in a university to teach other people about art history. Because then what? I mean, unless you work in a museum.
Or a teacher, public school. My mother majored in it, and she's an art teacher. Okay. Yeah, you can do some teaching things with it, but now it's just become so crazy. I mean, I'm looking it up right now.
But if you have 10 million people who are art history majors or are gender studies,
lesbian dance theory, majoring in that.
Okay, and that is a big one. I know I've heard it before. You've got that degree, which now you've got it paid off. You went free. You got a degree in lesbian dance theory?
Yes, lesbian dance theory.
Okay. And I'm not picking on lesbians about this, or maybe a little bit about dance theory. And here's the thing. Where does that transfer into a job? You just got a free ride. You now have a degree. You're going out into the job market with this wonderful skill. I can teach dance theory for lesbians. And what job do you get hired with where that's relevant?
There is no real field for it. There's no demand. I mean,
where's it relevant? What is it? What job is that relevant for?
And they're asking us to pay it off for them too.
Yeah.
It's not our fault you picked a useless major.
And I mean, and that's one just. It's particularly. I mean, talk about niche markets. That's about as niche as you get. I can't think of. Maybe you're a dance teacher. How many dance teachers are there? I mean, that's not driving the economy.
I don't think you even need a degree to be a dance teacher or study,
I'm assuming you do, but let's say you do. You still are making a niche market because that takes out any men who want to learn about dance, any straight kids who want to learn about dance. You've isolated yourself just to lesbians.
Lesbian dance theory, yeah.
So you've got a niche of a market that's quite honestly a niche of a market that doesn't have widespread use.
The only place I could see you doing this is super, super liberal state like Portland, like Oregon, or somewhere like that. And even then,
there's millions of people maybe not millions. There are, let's say, thousands, possibly tens of thousands of students out there who have this degree. That's more than enough for all of the dances out there, and we have more people getting these degrees. What are they going to do with it? And why am I paying taxes for them to do nothing? To not have a career after this? I understand, go to college for the knowledge. Fantastic. That's a very specific field. That's a very narrow field of knowledge. It's not very useful. It's not like a chemistry major. It's not like, again, English, or, you can go to the sciences, the classic liberal arts. That gives you the ability to think and understand and interpret. But, you're interpreting dance.
Yeah.
That doesn't really work on a construction site. It doesn't help you with sales. It doesn't help you with communications or telecommunications. I don't see where this transfers.
It doesn't.
And therefore, why are we spending $1.6 trillion for this, other than it will get Bernie Sanders possibly elected?
No, there's no reason for it.
Or some other Democrat.
And they're pushing these majors on people hard, too, because these professors need to keep working, because they've majored in it themselves. And it's the only option they have, because they can't find another job. So they are pushing it and pushing it. I guarantee you have no idea the amount of times people go, you should go into women's studies. You should go into gender studies, John.
Do what?
Exactly.
I mean, at the end of the day...
So they can keep their job. So they can keep teaching it, because they know it's a useless field, and they majored in it.
I'm not saying that, and I want to be clear, I'm not saying that no one should learn about gender studies. I'm not saying people shouldn't know about... As a
minor, fantastic, but as a major, and for you to get a degree, a master's, or even a doctorate in it, like...
What do you need? What's a doctorate? You can get a doctorate in lesbian interpretive dance?
In gender theory, yes, because that's a specific field you would study, lesbian interpretive dance.
I don't know. Perhaps it's me. I just don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, you're talking to a college-going student at Binghamton University. Absolutely agree with you. There's no need.
And by the way, kids, if you're seeing me smoke, don't do it. It costs way too much money. It's a bad habit. There's my PSA for this show. Okay, don't do it. Anyway, but I do, so live with it. I don't get that. But let me. So, if I'm understanding it right, this is a gimmick.
Yeah.
It's a gimmick that's going to cost taxpayers $1.6 trillion, if I'm remembering the number correctly, and I believe I am, because it just came out. I saw the news today. I don't want to spend that much money.
And you know what? I bet it's just.
And we have Christine just came on. She doesn't get it either. And please, people, give us your feedback. We're here to talk with you. So don't feel like you can't say something. If you think I'm wrong, if you think that I or John the intern are wrong, tell us and say, hey, you guys, you just don't understand. There is this enormous, massive demand for lesbian dance theory. There is this enormous, massive demand for art history. And it's got applications that affect everyone's life. And if that is the case, please tell me, because I just don't know. And I don't think so. And I don't think it's worth $1.6 trillion or higher taxes for me. I already pay too much in taxes. I don't think I need to pay more for that. That's just my thought, okay? As well as it's a bit irresponsible to say, hey, you incurred this debt, and the only person who should pay for that debt is everyone else but you. I don't agree with that.
No.
I think that's wrong. Christine goes on to say, I don't want my money going to this. Neither do I. Nor
do I. And I'm technically the target demographic for this, too.
I know, you're a millennial. And I think that there's a lot...
Gen Z. I will correct you. I am technically Gen Z.
Whatever. Like, there's a difference. What's the difference between Gen Z and millennial?
Actually, Gen Z is considered the more conservative generation.
Okay, I like you guys a little bit more, but it's so... Okay, fine. But my point is...
The point still stands.
It still stands. And this is a gimmick. And they are buying votes. They are buying votes on the back of other people's taxes. And I think that's wrong.
People who actually have hardworking jobs, who are in these fields, like you said, who go to trade school, the plumbers, the electricians, the people, the police officers, or someone who, is doing something for society. Yeah. It's just not fair.
And I know, folks, that if you're watching this on YouTube right now, It's really, really choppy, and we apologize. There's nothing we can do about that. That's on Facebook. Their stream is just horrible. So I know it looks a little bit choppy and frozen, but we're going live here, so there you go. But there's another part of this, and that goes to Elizabeth Warren. So Elizabeth Warren just came out with some crazy news of her own that I think really needs to be addressed. And actually, she did this on the 20th. Okay. She came out and she said that she backs a bill, which she's put out before. It's called the Refund Equality Act. And if people want to look it up, it's under bill number S1940. And you can go to congress.gov and you'll be able to look up the bill. And there are 42 people, basically every Democrat in Congress and every Democrat who's running for president backs this bill. They are all behind it. There are 14 people in the House of Representatives that back this bill. And basically what this is saying is that literally, if you were gay and you were, on the wrong thing. Sorry about that. If you're gay and you happen to go to, and you were married, legally married in a state, that you get a refund. You get to have a refund of your taxes. And here's the problem I have with it. There's a couple of problems with this. By the way, Christine mentioned that push it on the hardworking taxpayers. Yes, they are pushing it on that hardworking taxpayers. Hello, Joe, and hello, Steve. They're watching us live here as well.
Awesome.
So my problem with this bill is that what you're looking at, what she's saying here is we're going to retroactively go back in time and we're going to give more money to this protected group of people. Okay. Because they got married legally, or their marriage became legal, so their taxes before it was legal should be given back to them. So that's money, again, that's coming out of our pocket, the rest of the taxpayers, and we're giving it to them. Okay. And that's what? How much is that estimated to be?
$57 million.
Okay, $57 million.
And I'm trying to figure out if that's in total or per couple currently. Because it's not very clear if it is or not.
I can't imagine that it's per couple. I know a lot of people who are gay and married, and they don't make $57 million in taxes. So, so I doubt it's that. But here's my problem. It's not that we're giving a refund of taxes. I mean, $57 million realistically is just a drop in the bucket. It's an accounting error when the government spends $4.3 trillion a year. So that's not the big deal. It is a deal that we're saying certain protected groups, that there are groups of people who get to have a special tax rate that other people don't get to have. That's a problem. Here's another problem. We're saying that you can retroactively change laws to benefit and reward some people over others. Think about that. You could go back and retroactively change laws to benefit one group over another. Where could that be dangerous?
Everywhere.
Can you think of a law that we could retroactively go back and change, and that would hurt people? I can think of many of them. Like, how about we retroactively go back and make slavery legal? Because if we can retroactively go back and we can eliminate the 14th, the 15th, the 13th Amendments, then we can make slavery legal. We can go back and revoke the 20th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote.
What about the Second Amendment?
We can go back and change the Second Amendment.
Everyone who owns a gun, boom.
Yeah, so let's retroactively change this because it's for a protected group. You know, people who don't like guns because they saw Die Hard and they think that that's real somehow, or they watched Predator and thought that guns fire forever. You know, they're upset about it. So we're going to remove everyone's ability to have a firearm overnight because we can retroactively change that law. This is not how our government works. This is the dominoes. You could retroactively go back and say that, you know what, slavery is okay, you know what, but it's going to be limited to white males, straight white males. They can be slaves. Because if you can retroactively change a law to benefit another group of people, a class of people, then you can retroactively harm people.
Mm-hmm.
That is the precedent that's being set. And I know no one is talking about that, and no one's thinking about that, but it's important. If you can retroactively change laws and have that retroactive change affect everyone, then you're talking about penalties. We're talking about, if you can do this for money, you can do this with everything else. You can punitively harm people. There's my concern.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
No, it's a real concern. And do we find, wasn't it every Senate Democrat voted for this too?
They all support it.
That's insanity
40,
because this...
virtually all. It's 42.
Yeah, but that's still insanity that, this is the precedent the Democratic Party wants to present us.
That's the precedent.
This is what they want to set for us.
Yes.
They want to change history, essentially, and harm those when it was, at one point legal.
Yes.
They want to hurt former law-abiding citizens who are still law-abiding citizens.
And here's my thing. You're going back in time. And again, it's not about gay couples. I don't care. That's their life. They're gay, they're married, it's legal, fine. That's them. Okay, I could care less about that. Mm-hmm. That's not what I'm talking about. And I know someone out there, any of the progressives who are watching this, they're going to get hung up and you hate gay. No, I don't care. I don't care. That's not my point. I don't even want to think about that. Mm-hmm. No, what I'm talking about is you're retroactively changing a law to have a benefit to a class of people. That's dangerous. Mm-hmm. The consequences of that are a problem. It's not this case. This example is meaningless. It's every other place that you would apply that.
Yeah, now this is setting the precedent for future events.
Yeah. And you're saying that you can go back, and that kind of violates both the grandfather law effect, which is that, once you pass a law, there's a certain period of time before that law comes into effect, and no one is punished for that, and then after that, it becomes factual law. Well, now you're kind of thrown out window because there is no time period to adjust. Laws just changed. Mm-hmm. So you have no one who's protected by grandfather. Yeah. It also means, and I'm not a lawyer, but this is, I think we can all understand the grasp of this law. It also means that double jeopardy doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Because theoretically, if we can go back and change a law retroactively and affect everyone for a benefit for a certain group, then you can change a law to harm people. So you committed a crime, well, we changed the law and it still applies to you. So the changed law now means you still get it. Mm-hmm. So that you have a car, as an example, make it real simple. You own a car, it's not the efficient, you have a non-electric car. Mm-hmm. And if the law says that you have to have electric cars, you don't have an electric car or a green energy efficient car, mm-hmm. you now have a penalty. And since you owned it for the last 20 years, we're not counting it from tomorrow going forward. No, we're going to penalize you for the last 20 years.
Insane. Just insane.
And tell me that you can't do that. Is that not the precedent they're setting?
No, it is. Absolutely.
And that scares me.
It does. It should. It's a very scary thought that this could become potentially a law. And this could be passed.
And I guarantee you, this bill that Elizabeth Warren's putting out is, S 1940. The whole point of this is to get votes.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. She wants to get votes. Mm-hmm. And she wants to, she wants to be the front runner of the Democratic National Committee. She hasn't thought about it. Do you notice in both of these bills, they're not thinking about the consequences. Same thing with Governor Cuomo with decriminalizing marijuana, which we were talking about before. Mm-hmm. Which doesn't mean it's not a crime. It still is. If you have under 2 ounces of marijuana, you still get a fine. It still is a drug offense on your record. You still get denied loans. You still get denied student aid. You can still, if you're a legal immigrant, you can be denied entry into the United States if you leave. You can be deported if you get 2 of them. This is still a crime. You're not going to jail. You still get penalized. It's still on your record. They're not thinking this through.
No. And you know what's funny about Elizabeth Warren? She introduced a version of this bill in 2017. That was 2 years ago. She completely just...
And couldn't get it passed.
No.
Because it's stupid.
Yeah.
Because the consequences, these are the consequences. It has an impact.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's not as direct as the $1 trillion in taxes that got Christine very upset, and I'm sure many other people very upset instantly. It's the fact that these things still happen. And no one in the media is talking about this.
No, that's not what they're focusing on.
They're talking about, well, yay, gay people, fantastic gay people. There's a consequence here.
Mm-hmm.
There are laws, there are consequences and dominoes this affects. It's bigger than just that one protected group. It's not about them. In fact, opposing this isn't about them at all. It's not about legalizing marijuana. It's about there are other factors involved. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. Am I missing something here?
No, I think you're absolutely correct.
So from your point of view on
Mm-hmm.
these issues, so we're talking about Bernie Sanders, and so you're against
Free tuition.
free tuition, and I'm sure, do other students, Generation Z, millennials, where do they stand on this? Are they thinking about any of these things?
I would say people younger than me who are coming up, like the high schoolers I talk to,
Mm-hmm.
their big influences politically are the guys like Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder. Those guys are really speaking to them, PragerU.
Mm-hmm.
So they know what to ask. They're starting to realize you got to ask these questions.
Well, I think they're important questions.
Yeah.
If you don't ask these questions and you don't get these answers.
It's the idea of forming a question correctly. And they're starting to get that. The generation, my generation, you know, if you want to consider me a millennial, they're not asking these questions.
No.
They aren't, you know. The younger generation is, because it's going to affect them more than anything else when they start coming up.
Well,
But, you know, that's what's going on with them, I think.
how much do you want to make a bet that on Wednesday and on Thursday that Bernie's new, I want to give away, you know, I want to waive and absolve $1.6 trillion, and this has got to be an annual number because
Yeah.
it's not going to be just one time.
It's not going to go, no, it's going to be,
It's free college forever. So it's like 1.6 trillion a year in higher
Mm-hmm.
taxes for everybody who's watching this, whether you follow politics or not, whether you're for any party whatsoever, I don't care, or if you're absolutely neutral. It has no impact. This isn't just going to say, okay, Republicans are going to pay 1.6 million or Democrats are going to pay 1.6 trillion. No, it's everybody. Everybody in America pays more.
it's probably going to go up too. If colleges realize that the government is just going to pay them, they can charge whatever price they want, pretty
Well,
much.
there's the other consequence. You know, how much would, if you knew that that no matter what you charge, the government is going to come in and pay it all, would you raise your prices? Would you want to have more of a profit?
Yeah.
Knowing
It's
the government.
only going to raise from there.
I don't know of a single business that wouldn't say, hey, we're going to raise our prices. Why? Because the government's going to pay for it, no matter what. We can sell them $600-700 hammers because they're going to pay for it. We can have a $700 toilet seat. The government will pay it because we're going to make a huge profit because they're going to pay no matter what.
Mm.
And that's what we're talking about here. They're going to. There isn't a single learning institution out there, higher learning institution, that isn't going to say, oh, absolutely, please pass this. This is the right thing to do. Help those students out and increase their profits all the way.
Mm-mm.
And I guarantee you, the day after we pass that, every learning institution, every college, every university, everybody's going to go, oh, and we just increased our prices because we need more money.
It's inevitable. It is inevitable, and no one, I think, like you said, no one is going to talk about it. So that initial number they put out there, how much it's going to cost, only going to get higher every year.
And every single person watching this is going to pay more money in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not you actually have a degree, whether or not you have a good degree, whether or not you can get a job, your taxes will go higher.
Or if you're sending kids to college, whether or not you are or not, whether you have any, stake in the higher education costs.
I have no kids.
Yeah.
It's going to cost me more money.
Oh, much, much more.
Way more.
Yeah.
And I have no gain on this. I'm
No.
well above. My college days were decades ago. I'm not going back to college, and I have no kids. and yet I'm going to be paying for everybody's college education. That doesn't help me get a job, doesn't help my business grow.
No, exactly.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, so I know we want to talk about those a little bit more because we ran out of time. It was well over an hour on our prior show. We spent about half an hour here. Is there anything else, now that we're going to wrap up, anything else? And by the way, folks, we're always looking for your comments. We're always happy. I want to thank everyone who's given us a comment or just even check this out. But any other thoughts?
Nope, we pretty much covered everything I wanted to talk about and everything with the college situation.
Okay. Then please remember on Wednesday, 9 p.m., we're going to be covering the Democratic 2020 nominee debates. And we're going to do that live stream. We're going to be commenting on it. We're going to be fact checking it as it goes on live. In addition to that, we have another show on Wednesday that we're going to be doing as well. The earlier program on No Soundbites Allowed from the Exceptional Conservative Network, TECN Network, that'll be up on YouTube along with this very shortly. Please check it out. Please let your friends know. Most of all, let us know what you think. We look forward to hearing more from you. And until then, I want you to be well, be successful, make a ton of money, and we'll talk to you again very soon. All right. Bye, folks. Say bye.
Have a good one.
All right.